When I took my first trip to Malaysia 16 years ago, I was literally shocked by everything about life in Malaysia. As Malaysians always tell me how there's no place in the world quite like Malaysia, but I didn't know what it meant until now. So today, I want to share with you the one difference about Malaysia that nobody seems to know, but it makes all the difference, as well as my biggest culture shock as an American coming to Malaysia even after so many years.
And it's totally not what you think it is, so let's get right into the video.
And I want to begin by breaking down all the aspects of Malaysia and Malaysian culture that make the place and everyone living here so special. And at the end, we'll find out what that one true difference in Malaysia is. And the first thing is what a lot of foreigners love to say about Malaysians, but Malaysians don't always seem to agree. And that is how welcoming Malaysia is when it comes to foreigners and different cultures, especially when compared to most East and Southeast Asian countries. There's a lot less social pressure to fit in, and personally, I've never seen anyone traveling or being in Malaysia long term without at least making a few local friends. And that also leads to Malaysia having the best food with so much diversity, combined with the best part of every single place on the planet. Bro, they say Malaysia hits the sweet spot when it comes to mixing the flavor of the East and the West. And it's pretty common for you to visit a local restaurant and cafe only for the second time, bro. And they already memorize your face and treat you like a good old friend. Because when Malaysians talk to you, they genuinely want to know more about you, since they're friendly and talkative even towards strangers.
And if you want any more proof, I have a friend who visited Malaysia for a business trip. He was eating some nasi lemak until he saw his boss in Malaysia shaking hands with the auntie selling nasi lemak and being all friendly. And he said he couldn't believe how normal that is in Malaysia.
Yep, I've only seen that in Malaysia as well. But what is even better is the next thing on the list, and the perfect time to subscribe to this channel if you love the video so far. Because the next thing you will only see in Malaysia is that nobody really honks. Like, you ever notice how being on the road in Malaysia and something is totally missing? Almost like you forgot to turn on the sound effect or something. And any other places, people will smash the horn at the tiniest inconvenience and they will argue, yell at one another, and someone will call the cops. But never in Malaysia, bro. From what I've seen, Malaysians simply find another way around or respectfully wait to get past. And it's not difficult to imagine why that became a thing. So one time a friend over here was driving and saw a bag being dragged from the back of a car, like the bag handle was being held by the car door. So he stopped beside the car during the red light and then rolled down the window, honk, and then asked the driver to do the same with their window. It was a super quick honk, like you press it and leave it. But somehow the driver yelled words at him and then gave him pointed fingers, then drove away when the light turned green. Like they didn't even get a chance to talk. And frankly, nobody likes being horned at, and that explains why it isn't that common in Malaysia.
I think a good way to put it would be that horns are intended to be safety devices in Malaysia. You want yourself and others to be safe. But in America, it's for waking people up when the light turns green. Because bro, I swear that half of them are sleeping behind the wheels or playing on their phone. And 10 seconds later, hey, they still haven't moved.
But the next one is kind of the one you might see in other nations as well, but Malaysians definitely took it to the next level. And that is how accepting Malaysians are when it comes to blocking the road for a celebration. Like, for example, when someone puts tables and seats on the road with a massive projector so people can watch TV, or in the neighborhood when there's a wedding, people would set up tents with tables and stuff in the middle of the road. And I think the openness to little inconvenience like that really shows how Malaysians respect one another enough to know that the person who is blocking the road is having a special moment in their life. And they will also like the same respect from others when one day they're the one having a special moment too. And seeing that always warms up my heart when I'm traveling in Malaysia.
The only complaint I'm seeing is that whenever you have an upcoming festival or a big celebration, you have those like stalls selling fireworks. And the crazy part is, bro, they would light up the fireworks every day until midnight just to attract the customer.
but thank goodness that doesn't happen every day. Otherwise, I'm sure you will all go crazy. But the next one I want to bring up, some of you may see this as a good or a bad thing. But Malaysia is famous for being able to strike a balance in geopolitics without lining itself too much to the west or to the east. They say you don't lose if you play for both sides, am I right? But that also leads to a relatively peaceful society and a very powerful passport, since Malaysians can travel visa-free to most European nations. You know how many are talking about like Russia and America are at it again? As if the last time that happened, things ended up pretty good, huh? Well, many non-Malaysian friends I know actually want to move to Malaysia if anything were to happen between the west and the east.
I mean, there's even a list of all the safest places to be if there were to be any sort of major conflicts between America, Russia, and China, etc. And Malaysia is listed as one of the safest. And I know nobody's really safe from that kind of stuff. But bro, if anything happens to America, you know I'm coming straight to Malaysia.
But even if nothing happens, you can be sure that everyone will still love to visit Malaysia due to the next difference that I have to bring up, and that is the crazy language ability of every single Malaysian. You may not believe it yourself, but I'm saying this as a foreigner traveling in Malaysia, and your English is totally the best in Asia. And I don't know why they always say the Philippines speak better English, like I've traveled there a few times too. The Malaysian English is still better to the point. I think when Malaysian singers try to sing English songs, bro, you seriously assume if they're all native English speakers, it's that good. And most of my Malaysian friends grew up speaking 4 to 5 languages, and being able to mix words from different languages into one single sentence is definitely the highlight in Malaysian culture.
And that's why so many international companies that I know are bro. They told me they want to hire Malaysians to be the leader or the manager, because you guys can literally talk to anyone.
But that doesn't mean you will get along with everyone, right? Well, that's why I have to bring up the next crazy difference that I only see in Malaysia, and that is the laid-back community and all of you guys being chill. Especially when you consider all the nations surrounding Malaysia be like, bro, I have to go there and do that. Man, I'm so busy, I don't have time to see my mom. I need to be the best in my class, otherwise I'm nothing. Bro, and then you come to Malaysia and people tell you to chill and relax, bro. And what's amazing is Malaysian hospitality is also showing that form of laid-backness. If you need help, someone would have time to help you, and if you look like you want to talk, someone will talk to you sooner or later. You do have enough regulations to keep everything in place, but you're also not as strict as your neighbor Singapore. Everything kind of just works out in Malaysia, doesn't it?
Also, some of you might say that isn't being laid back the same as being lazy, but here's what it feels like after traveling across Malaysia. Instead, it's more like a better work-life balance, and trying to find ways to maximize your time with your family. And if being there for your family is considered lazy to you, then America needs you. You only need to work at nothing else.
But after all the stuff that I mentioned, did you find out what the one biggest difference in Malaysian culture turns out to be? Because out of all the stuff we went over, none of that would be possible without the one thing, and that is Malaysians are the one that makes all the difference in Malaysia. And I have 2 things to prove this, bro. Like, some travelers don't like Thailand, some people don't like Japan, but everyone I know who's ever been to Malaysia has nothing but love and appreciation for Malaysians. The second proof is, before I traveled to Malaysia, like, I didn't used to give up my seat for those in need. But my Malaysian friends tell me over and over, bro, if anyone is disabled, pregnant, or way older than you need to offer it. And I was genuinely surprised, like, you don't see this level of kindness in America. And even after leaving Malaysia, I still do that whenever there's someone in need. There's totally something infectious about the way you guys are willing to go out of your way to help one another. And learning about Malaysian culture only made me value that even more. For that at all, I want you guys to be super duper proud of yourself.
And that's what I think everyone, especially Americans, can learn from Malaysia, and the way everyone lives and cares about one another. And let me know what you think in the comments. And also let us know if there's anything else you would want to add.
But one thing that you don't need to add is how Americans have the worst knowledge when it comes to life in Malaysia. Because in this video, I want to go over the 10 biggest lies America told me about Malaysia growing up, and you can click on the video to find out what they are.